0.6% in the final quarter of 2016. According to Statistics South Africa's quarterly labor force survey, employment rate increased to 235,000 jobs during the period. We take this discussion further with Statistician General Pali Lehohla, who is on the line for us. Dr. Lehohla, it's a very good morning to you, and thank you so much for your time.
Morning for inviting me, and thanks for inviting me.
Thank you so much indeed. Now, I believe this is not much, but it looks like there's hope.
I don't know whether we are raising hope in numbers or what have you. I think the best thing we have is that we've got numbers that are of high quality, that show that unemployment has dropped by half a percentage point from 27.1 to 25.6. Or 26.5 rather. The areas where jobs have been created is in manufacturing, which came strong at 44,000, services, which include like 23,000, and transport at 44,000. So there have been jobs. However, around this quarter of the year, towards December, you see a rise in jobs.
Yeah.
So that's what I would caution, that there is always a rise in jobs. Yes.
All right, Dr. Lehohla, what are we attributing the 0.6% decline to? We know that previously the mining and the construction sectors were actually contributing a lot, but now we're seeing a huge decline by 17,000 and 9,000 respectively.
Yes, I mean, mining, when you start looking at the numbers much more deeply, you can see capital deepening in both mining and manufacturing. That is, there is more mechanization in those industries relative to using labor-intensive methods. And of course, this is the world we live in, where mechanization is the talk of town. And unless people are skilled for that future, a half percentage points decline in unemployment, which is already high, really says very little. So we have to think about the big picture of 26.5 people unemployed. That's what we have to be thinking about, rather than quibble about half a percentage point here or there.
All right, so this is basically just a drop in the ocean, I believe. But let's the report also shows that the youth, which is between 15 and 34 years of age, they still remain vulnerable, Dr. Lehohla, in the labor market. Although we see that the youth unemployment rate registered a decline of 1.1 percentage points in quarter to quarter.
Yes, I mean, that's true, but as we say, the youth carry the burden of 70% of all unemployed. And I'm trying to say, let's not be too much obsessed by the headline figure, which of course we are producing, yes, as I say, yet I'm not saying don't consider that. But what we have to do is to look at the other and underlying factors, such as where education, what type of education, who are the people who are employed, why are they employed, who are not employed, how is the legacy of apartheid feeding through the system when people have had the same, at least on paper, qualifications, but not that being reflected in employment outcomes. Those are the things that we must be seized with. For instance, when you look at where employment has been created, you have to look at the value chain in those employment areas, because there's transport and communications, and there seems to be a cohort or cluster of jobs that are being created in that environment of those industries. The question is, are we capturing that well enough? And I think our policymakers must be focusing on those kinds of things to see whether there are any issues or not. So the high headline figure, especially when it's so strictly so little, it's not very useful.
You're also mentioning an important aspect of education here, Dr. Lehohla, because we see that it is, in a way, playing quite an important role on the labor market outcomes, with those with no matric contributing about 59% of the unemployment rate, and the unemployment rate among graduates is 7.0% in the fourth quarter of last year. So education playing quite a pivotal role.
Oh, yes. I mean, there's no doubt education plays a role, and a significant role. And in fact, when you look at, you break down the age groups, and you remove the 15 to 20 and move to 24, 20 to 24 to 30 to 34, you can see the significance of education there. So, particularly graduate education. While everybody will not be a graduate, it looks like graduate education actually pays far more than tertiary education, other tertiary education such as TVET, all kinds of certificates, post-matric. And I think that's where attention has to be paid as to what kind of education is being given to these people. Because consistently, they have high unemployment rates. Yeah. And of course, we have to look at these things by race. Because for blacks, who presumably have the same kinds of certificates, at least on paper, when one looks at paper, they suffer very, very high levels of unemployment compared to their counterparts who have gone to other tertiary, other than graduates.
All right, Dr. Lehohla, that's where we're going to leave it this morning. But thank you so much for breaking down the numbers for us. All right, there you have it. That's Dr. Pali Lehohla, Statistician General from Statistics South Africa, talking to us about the South Africa's unemployment rate, which fell from 27.1% in the third quarter to 26.5%, saying that this is just a drop in the ocean, but there's light at the end of the tunnel.